guys. So I apologize, but today there's going to be less quality audio to this video. Something's going on with my mic. It's making crackling, popping sounds whenever I try to record this. So this is my third time trying to record this video. So hopefully the volume doesn't bother you too much. I'll look into getting another mic at some point. But anyway, so today we're going to be talking about this guy right here. This is the Bushnell TRS 25 red dot sight. And I've had this one up here for probably about 4 years or so, and I've had this one for about a year, year and a half. And just to let you know, they're technically two different models, but they are the same model. So, but what I mean by that is this one, look right here, Bushnell's written in white. And if you look on this one, it's written in yellow. So the yellow writing is the older model. It's been out for a little bit longer. And long story short, if you want to only watch the video for 1 minute, then get the one with the yellow writing if you can find it. So this is their newer model. I don't know if they have someone else making for them now and that's why, or what they changed with it, but overall the quality on these is not as good as it used to be. So again, if you can find one with the yellow writing, get that. If not, the one with white writing will work for some applications, non-serious shooting and whatnot, range toys. But long story short, I really wouldn't buy this one anymore. But with that aside, I'll kind of go ahead and go over all the features of this optic. So the battery life on this thing is claimed to be 3,000 hours, and that's, I'm sure maybe if you have it on the lowest setting possible, maybe that's a possibility, but I don't want to say it's an outright lie, but on a realistic setting, it's not going to last that long. I've seen other places say it lasts about 1,000 hours, and that's more realistic on like a low setting. Say if you're going to be using it in indoor environments, or if it's dusk or dawn or whatever, where it's kind of darker. But if you have this thing on a higher setting, which you're going to if you shoot this thing outdoors, the battery life on this is going to be a week or less. So I guess my personal experience with this one specifically. So I've left this one on multiple times whenever I go to the range, and every single time I go back and check my gun to put it in safe or whatever, because we're not all good about putting everything back where it goes. So say 2-3 days later, whenever I go back, oh no, I left the red dot on, and I left it on the highest brighting, and 3 days later it's dead. So just know that you're probably only getting about 2 to 3 days of the optic being on its brightest setting before the thing dies on you. So just know that. So this is not an optic that you can just leave plugged in all the time, or not plugged in, but left on all the time. So if you want to leave your optic on, say for like a home defense rifle, this optic's not for you. Go with something like a Hollow Sun or something that has a ridiculously long battery life. This one uses older technology, and the battery life is just terrible. So just know that getting into it. It uses a 2032 battery, which they're not cheap, but they're not inexpensive either. They're just kind of average. You can buy them in bulk on Amazon. Just be careful who you buy those from, because sometimes you'll get expired ones. The knobs on these, just kind of go over the differences between the two. So body-wise, they're the same. They have little caps here that screw on, and hopefully I can show this to you. They have little O-ring seals, so that's kind of good. I believe the optic is actually, waterproof, water resistant, whatever you want to call it. So on here you can see it's got the right and the left windage adjustment, and then on the top is going to be the elevation. And these little knobs, I'm going to turn this light off, it's kind of bright. Those little knobs, they work fine. They're easy to adjust, say with a screwdriver or with the rim of a bullet casing like a 223 or something. You can adjust easily that way. There is clicking. You can hear the clicking, so it's audible. It's not as audible as I'd like, but again, for the price of this thing, you can't really complain about that. One thing I will complain about on the newer model is if you look through here, hopefully you can see, it doesn't give too much. Okay, so if you look through there, you can see how there's not really a whole lot of distortion when it comes to color. What you see is what you get color-wise. There's no tinting, like blue tinting, and this is on the newer one. On the older one, if you look through there, you can see there is a fairly substantial blue tint. So what that does, it does two different things. One, it makes the battery life longer, and I don't know if the battery life is different on either of these because of the tinting. This one doesn't have it, this one does. This one, the battery life would be longer if it had that tinting on there. But when you're using these, say in an outdoor situation, I'll show you this here in a second. I'll roll in the clip. That blue tinting helps a lot when it comes to finding that dot, especially in bright environments. So like right now it's snowy outside, sunlight, super bright. With this one, you pretty much can't find the red dot. Like, you know it's there, and so if you hunt for it, you can find it, or if you're looking in a dark area, you know, you can find it, or if you're looking at a target that's dark, you can find it. But if you're looking, say, at the snow, or just out, you know, at dirt or something out in the distance, you're going to lose this reticle. And it's just because it's just not that bright. They need another, like, 4 brightness settings. They just need to get rid of the lower 4 and add 4 on top of it, and it'd probably be fine. This one over here, which again I'll show you in the video here in a second, this one you can actually see pretty well even in the snow. It's not as bright as I would like it to be, but because it has that blue tinting, it is easier to pick up. So I'll roll that in here and then we'll come back. Alright, so for comparison, I'm not sure how this will show up. It's incredibly bright out there, right inside my house. So I'm going to turn this up to 11 and we'll see if you can see the dot at all, which you can't. Maybe you can see it on there. So again, I'll just kind of let you see. Now you can you can kind of see it there. It's not bright at all. You can't see this dot whatsoever, and that's on the highest setting of 11, as you can see. Hopefully. Probably too dark, but yeah, you can see just barely. It's on 11, so it doesn't work well, and that's the newer model. On the older model, if I turn it to 11, you can see there's a blue tint to it. Don't know how well that comes up on screen. See if I can make it focus on that. You can see the red dot on that one. It's not super clear through the camera, but you can see that red dot out there in the woods, and it kind of disappears in the snow. Just know that I can see it in the snow just barely, but you can notice a huge difference between the two. Now in comparison, here's an EOTech on its brightest setting. Hopefully you can see that. Yep, focuses just fine. Now it's not going to show up clear because the camera is focused on the gun, not the reticle. So just know that, but see how much brighter the EOTech is on its brightest setting. You can pick it up just fine. So as you can see, compared to like something like an EOTech, these things don't get nearly as bright. Now they are usable. This one is usable in bright environments. This one is not. So just know that. So if you're going to buy the one with the yellow writing. Another complaint I have about this newer model, the cheaper one, is on here you can hear the clicking. That wobble in between each setting, like it doesn't lock in place, and part of that is this. The turret feels like it's going to fall off. So I don't know if maybe, you know, over time recoil has done that to it, but it's nowhere near as secure or solid as this one is. And I've had both of these red dots on both of these guns, so I know it's not the AK recoil that did it. So on this one, you can hear that is a very audible clicking, and there is no wobble, and I can't pull this thing off. It's very solid. So the quality in these things has gone down. For that reason alone, I would never use one of these as a serious home defense type rifle or, you know, out and about rifle. Now this one I've banged around quite a bit. I trust this one. Do I trust it to, you know, drag behind a truck or throw down a mountainside and it still work? No, it's not designed for that. But I trust it enough to actually use on my home defense rifle, because again, this rifle's not getting beat around a whole lot, and at home defense distances, I mean, worst case scenario, you know, you just use the tube itself as the rear aperture, line it up with the front sight. You know, for up close distances, you're still gonna make hits. But all that aside, so the price on these things, and this is one of the main reasons why I don't suggest getting these. So for the price, right now I'm seeing these go for around $70, $75, somewhere in that range, which is ridiculously stupid, because I bought this one for that price years ago, and this one's worth that price. If you find this one for, you know, $75 or less, it's probably worth getting. But Primary Arms makes one that's around $100 that's probably better than this one, and then, you know, spend another $50 and you can get a Hollow Sun. And Hollow Suns are going to be significantly better than these because their battery life alone and their durability is proven. And so I would trust those a whole lot more over these. But again, I bought this one before Hollow Sun became really a thing. But this one right here, I want to say it was on sale. Like they used to run around $50, and it was on sale for like 40, and then they had like a a $10 or $15 rebate, something like that. So I got it for around $30 with shipping and tax and whatnot. So for $30, yeah, go ahead and buy this thing. It's worth putting on. Right here, this is my AK. It's a Wasser 10. It's just a range toy. Yeah, you could use it for serious use. I don't. It's just a fun gun to shoot at the range. But for that purpose, this works just fine. I just have to know that on a bright day, it's going to be hard to see this, the reticle. And another negative thing about that, of the reticle itself, it's a 6 MOA dot. So I believe that on like a medium or lower setting, but on a setting where you have it all the way up for a bright day, I was shooting at this target here. Well, not this specific target. Obviously, it hasn't been open. But I was shooting at a target just like this one at about 50 yards to sight it in. And when I was sighting it in, the dot itself covers almost all of this green circle at 50 yards. So, I mean, that's like a good foot. It covers about a good foot. So that's 12-inch MOA, ish dot at 100 yards, which is really bad in my opinion. So is that a huge deal? No. If you're shooting at a man-sized target, then yeah, I mean, they're going to be about a foot and a half wide. So I guess in theory, it's not that big of a deal. But just know that this optic, even as a range toy, is 100 yards in optic, because beyond that, you're not going to be able to be accurate at all. And really, past 50, you're not going to be able to be all that accurate. And that's just because the dot's so big. On a bright day, it makes it less, but on a cloudy day, it just gets larger. And something I've noticed, and again, that's with this one specifically. On this older one, the dot stays relatively small, and I would say it probably is actually a 6 MOA dot. But on this one, it's not. The dot as it gets brighter, it kind of loses its circular shape, almost becomes oval, and that one doesn't. And I thought maybe it was just my eyes, but because the other one doesn't do it, and that one, it's still a nice clean dot at a lower setting. I think it's just the brightness and the cheapness of it just doesn't allow it to keep that crisp dot. So just know that. So again, for CQB distances, works just fine. As a range toy, works just fine. If you have an indoor range that you don't have to worry about brightness, because it's darker in there, then this would be just fine. So again, as a range toy, this is fine. For a 22, it's just fine. Just know it doesn't get bright enough to use for, I would say, serious use. Durability wise, I haven't had an issue with either of these, other than this knob, feeling cheesy and weak. Neither of these have ever lost zero, even on the AK. I haven't put them on anything larger than this. I'm not going to put it on like a Mosin Nagant or something, just destroy the thing. But on normal, intermediate cartridges and lower like pistol caliber carbine, which those can be probably about as rough as an AK, I would imagine they'd hold up just fine, especially this older one. So I will show you just the reticle on here. I know you saw it outside, but I just want to show you kind of the brightness settings. So on this one here, that's the brightest. You see, it's not going to focus on the dot itself. So ignore how big that dot is, because I don't think I can get it to focus on that. Nope, I can't. So one thing I don't like about the older model is you can see this kind of part right here that obstructs the view. That's the emitter in there, and it just kind of clogs up your view a little bit. And also with this older one, I don't know if it's because of the reflective lens, or maybe I never noticed it before, or maybe the lens is cracked or the glue's coming apart or whatever, but there's a red kind of tint that covers up about, I don't know, a fourth of the lens on there, versus this one doesn't do that. And it didn't used to, so I imagine something's coming loose, or glue is moving, or the glass on the inside cracked somewhere. But it doesn't really affect, as long as you're using the red dot like you're supposed to, it doesn't really bother anything. But again, bought this thing 4 years ago. I'm not gentle on my stuff, so even if it did crack, I don't necessarily blame the optic, because I throw my stuff around. So, but again, that's another reason why I wouldn't suggest using this for serious use, because it can't handle that abuse, because it's not designed to. But for a home defense, works just fine. So hopefully this information was useful to you. Overall, I would say probably just steer clear of this optic. I mean, I like the one that I have obviously up here well enough where I'm not going to replace it. Maybe eventually I'll buy like a Hollow Sun or something, but right now I have other stuff I want to buy, so it's not really top of my list, and this one works just fine for that specific purpose. But if I didn't already own this, I wouldn't buy one again, unless you could maybe find one of the older ones, like say on eBay for You know, if you can find one of these for around 50 bucks or less, yeah, go ahead and buy it. If you can find one of these for, 30 bucks like I did, yeah, go ahead and buy it, slap it on a 22. But my opinion, I wouldn't buy either of these optics currently whenever there's other better optics and options on the market today, like Holosun or even Sig are going to be better than this because they get brighter. Primary Arms makes a relatively cheap one. I think it's under $100 as well. So if you don't have $100, then yeah, this would probably be the only one I would suggest. It's under $100, but even so, you're gonna have a lot of limitations with it. So I would rather, buy once, cry once, which I used to not believe, which is why I have a lot of cheap stuff. But over the years, just save up for what you want exactly, and then pay for it, because odds are you're probably gonna end up buying it later on anyways, which means this was a waste of money. So, anyways, I hope you all enjoy this kind of content. I've been meaning to do this video for a while. I just haven't had a chance to do it. But if you enjoy this kind of stuff, give us a like, subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that. Comment down below. That helps with the YouTube algorithms, help people find us. We would appreciate that as well. And again, if you have any questions, comment down below. I answer everybody's questions as well. So anyways, hope you have a good one.